Hello. Here we are, day two, day two, day two. Just to go over some things, they're giving us a new deck. We're not able to play it for another 6 hours, so we can goof off with that maybe later today or this afternoon. We obviously got resets, and we got lucky enough to grab a 750 gold for white and black spells. I took a quick look at the cards that we had in our deck and slapped together what I thought was our highest value um, rares into a black and white deck just in order to accomplish the 750 gold a little bit faster. We can try this on the rank ladder. We only had one Steel Seraph, unfortunately, so we don't have a ton of life gain. But we had 4 copies of Ran, and this card is just really easy to cast. It's only 2 mana. It does kind of a once a turn Shieldred kind of effect when something dies. And I was looking at some things where the cause, like when they die, it's not the end of the world. Um, Reason why is you can bring this back from the graveyard to your hand, so it's like a redraw. This puts something back onto the battlefield after it dies, which is good. This can be recast depending on the number of a number of lands that the opponent has for a pretty cheap cost of just 2 black mana, which we should be able to accomplish. And this also has a unearth that includes a black mana on there. Phyrexian Missionary will actually redraw a card back out of your graveyard with a kicker on the black and white. Vat of Rebirth, the whole point of this is to count up your death ones, and every 4 you can spend 3 mana and bring one back. Gold Conscript also comes back from the dead. Yotian Frontliner has an unearth for 1, nice and cheap. Um, Braids, Frightful Return and Braids herself help you toss some of these things in to grab some more triggers. That can be useful in circumstances where we're facing like a rigged wall of defenders. We can't get past it. This way we can sneak in some death and we can sneak in some life gain by destroying some of these creatures that don't kill us. They don't hurt us too bad to lose them. Ambulatory Edifice is just generally a decent card. It's a 3/2. It's kind of got a glass jaw. I don't think it's that great of a card, but the -1/-1 can help you get rid of mites. And when you're going up against toxic creatures, I would much rather give up the 2 life and get rid of a mite than the opposite, and get a poison counter. So I'm going to throw it in there just as a way to help control some of the tinier little kinds of things that come our way. Touch the Spirit Worm's removal to go along with our Drown and Ichor, to go along with our Legion and Ashes, to go along with our Murder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different removal spells, and a possible Mite removal for a 7th possible one. These are kind of what led us into playing the theme. Besides Ran, we can again pull cards out of our graveyard with this, and this is just a really big creature that if I have to cast it on the early side, I'm okay with the sacrifice, especially if I've already got a Vran sitting on the deck and I can get some value out of that sacrifice. Defiler of Flesh is just a strong card in general. It'll help you buff up your creatures if you're willing to trade off some life, and the hopes are that after dirtling around with these 2 drops coming and going and using things like the communions, the vat of rebirths, the unearths, the Phyrexian Missionary, after doing that for a while, we can pump things like the Necrosquito. We should be able to recast things with a little bit of life loss and then just get the life right back and then turn them into pluses with Menace, which makes them very, very difficult to block. And then this is just an easy to get across the finish line kind of 3/3 flyer for 4 that gives indestructible to another creature. So after making everybody feel like they're totally expendable, we're suddenly saying, just kidding, we need you, and we need you bad. And so I was thinking that like this kind of indestructibility would go good with a larger kind of creature that's on the attack. Invoke Justice is just kind of a Hail Mary at some point, and we're just not likely to have the 4 white pips. Maybe we will, but it won't be something that's cast on time. It'll be for those longer kinds of games where we're kind of stuck staring at each other. And my best creature is this Ravenous Necrotitan sitting in the graveyard. This would be a great way to bring it back out as a 10/10. Really just kind of like recapture a game momentum. And then the Defiler Faith is very similar to the Defiler of Flesh. It's a little bit more expensive, but it can help us go a little bit wider, and it also gives us an opportunity to maybe cast something like Invoke Justice for some mana costs, or for some life costs instead of some mana cost. So, we kind of consider this like a 3/3, really, really good to help us create some life gain, really, really good to help us get little guys like this 2/2 into the action. It's never a really great idea to attack with your Vran and risk it unless you feel like you can just fly over them. There you go. We only had slow lands on the black-white combo, and we don't obviously have any of the sexy stuff up here that kind of helps us smooth out our land. And so I cheated to the black side, knowing that I would need black a little bit earlier in this. White, 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 white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that require white versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different cards that require black. There's a big weighted difference down here. Doesn't mean we don't need some white to carry us across the finish line, and in these dual pips right here, we really want to make sure we've got the black for that too. So this is not a 3-color deck opportunity with these larger multi-pips and these double pips down here in the 3-drop slot. If it was just these and nothing else, I would consider being able to add a 3rd color and say, like, we could smooth that out and it would be fine. But let's try it out. We got to get this. We got to get this gold if we're going to do another one of our jump-ins. And so, in order to do that, we got to cast white or black spells, and we're going to try it out. I played one bot match game with it just to see if the deck worked. Sometimes that's a really good thing to do. Just toss yourself into a bot match and just throw some cards. You can, if you do it enough, you'll find a ton of hidden synergies inside every different deck. Synergies are, like you can attack with a, certain kind of rat, and then maybe you can use like a second chapter of a saga. None of these are just obvious to the opponent, and so you get in a situation where the opponent just kind of like, well, where did that come from? I didn't realize I was about to lose my character. Pilfer's like a duress, and it's slower than a duress. It's not the greatest of cards. I was hoping to remove that out of my deck. I'm not sure. Looks like we're facing a mono green. We can take his 2-drop, which will hit for a 3/3, and I think that's probably the best way to take him off path, especially considering that we're mana locked. Alright, we're okay, we're okay. We're going with this. Nothing in our graveyard to take it. We should be able to get a Necrosquito out and have a flying attack, which is good. While I think about that, I'm going to attack. What you got? Let's just do it again. You prevented all damage, you son of a gun. That's fine. The reason I tossed the Necrosquito out instead of the Yoshi Frontliner, which would have given this one an extra +1, which would be a little bit easier to deal with. Purpose of all of that change was just to make sure that if the Frontliner goes down, the Necrosquito picks up the extra column. You may sacrifice a creature, and if you do, the opponent discards a card, and then you can return the creature from your graveyard back to your hand, and then they have to sacrifice a non-land, non-token permanent, and if they don't, they lose 2 life and draw a card. All that sounds amazing. None of it is that exciting. We're just going to attack with our flyer. And if the Mariner attacks, I know it's not the most mana efficient thing to do, but I would double block in order to get rid of him. That way I would probably keep either the Missionary or the Necrosquito. It's going to pump our Necrosquito up. That's going to pump both our Necrosquitos up. So, very much worth it. at this point. All right, so Braids is a little dirtily. This is not. I do think that I will toss that out there, but first, let's put our 6 damage in. And I'm probably just going to chump block this with the frontliner. Let the Vran do some damage and hurt opponent. Fine with all that. Alright, so we're going to chump block. And the death is going to cause the Vran to go off. It's going to cause the mosquitoes to pump up. Dump. Getting 3 triggers off of a frontliner, no big deal. Toss this in. You may sacrifice a creature, and if you do, the opponent discards a card. We wouldn't do that, but return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand sounds great. So let's just read ahead to number 2, and then the target opponent sacrifices a non-land, and if they don't, we destroy it. Just a lot more impactful, I think. We've got the 2 mana to cast this. So I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we put opponent in a bad situation. They don't really have a good attack in. God love a sacrifice deck. And we win. So, we did it. We built a deck out of the hodgepodge of our... Yeah, I know. I heard all about it.
It's 2 colors, red and green.
Ended up getting 7 out of the 30 total spells in our white and black combo in one game. But we also got the 250 gold that we needed in order to accomplish what we were looking for, which is getting additional jump-in packets and expanding our set. And so, as fun as it is to know that we built ourselves a decent deck here, definitely functioned the way we predicted it would, with some things dying and Vran sort of building it up, and the Necrosquito, being able to feed off of those. I think I'm not touching anything in this deck. This would be the one question mark about whether there's any kind of synergy to it, and I just almost want to type in graveyard just to see if there's any other shenanigans that we can do in the graveyards instead of that card. When a samurai or a warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast a target enchantment card from your graveyard. That's just never going to happen. This is just a graveyard robber. This is the one. I knew I had one, but the problem is we just don't have the kind of corruption necessary to really turn that card on. So otherwise it's just a 2/2. Equipped creature gets Menace +1, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you automatically can attach the Dredging Claw to it. I totally dig it. I totally dig it. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Something a wee bit...
You face me. You will only
looks like
hurt
he's wearing some
yourself.
stuff. We're looking at white-black. We're looking at not having a pet. And we're calling this one Vran's Braids. And the reason is Braids, Vran. Vran's Braids. That's what I got. Could have called it a bunch of other stuff, but who cares? I do think that's good. So we didn't do a lot, but we just added an extra neat kind of synergy with graveyard creatures. So now when we use our Unearth as an example, the Dredging Claw will go onto it, and it'll immediately become a 4/0 with Menace as an attacker. This could become a 2/1 Menace attacker with its Unearth equipment ability. And that's always a lot nicer, like as just a sneak attack. That means that we can actually clear a guy off the board more likely. This one does return a non-land permanent from the graveyard to your hand, but I don't think that's going to set off our deal. We're never going to be corrupted in here, so we're always going to be giving up a creature, but we're okay with that because we get so much value back out of the creatures that we kill. So killing our own creatures, game on. The Dredging Claw may not, I don't know. This will help the Dredging Claw. 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 Okay. I'll give it to you. Not sure if the Dredging Claw would go attached to it. That'll be a fun little experiment to see. You guys want to know, learn a new synergy too? Like a neat one? This Necrogen Communion goes really well with this Steel Seraph. And it's not the obvious ones, right? Like it's a flyer and this thing gives you like 2 toxic. So it's an easy way to grab 2 toxic into a creature. But more importantly, if you cast this as a prototype, toss this on him, then this guy dies, comes back, not as a prototype anymore. It's got a flicker effect. Those flicker effects can really pump up these guys. Considering that this thing can give itself healing and lifelink and vigilance, oh yeah. That's the combo right there. You would need a perfect setup of 3 mana, 2 white, 1 black, in order to cast this thing on, turn 4, essentially, on top of this guy when it's ready to attack. But that's one of the things that I really like about the Necrogen Communion. Even though it doesn't have flash, and even though it doesn't really like take off right like in instant speed where you can sneak attack a guy and whatever the case is, it is something that you're putting down just before you attack. And so opponent doesn't usually have the ability to throw extra bodies down, and it doesn't usually they don't have the ability to sort of pivot and say, oh, well, I'm going to change my plan and not attack that. Remember, every time you're staring at a board and you're like, okay, I can block that, I can take care of that, they're doing the same thing on their end. And so you're really disrupting their plans. They just weren't planning for you to have a character come right back when you do the communion, especially if you're doing it in such a way where it gets bigger. So just something to consider as a way to take teammates off, or opponents off their game plan. All right, so we are going to let's just try a ranked game with Fran's Braids. Let's just try it. We made a little bit of adjustment to the deck, but this would be a good place to see if we've got a winner or not. We got a Phyrexian Missionary, a Yoshian Frontliner, and Evada Rebirth, all of which are nice on the early curve. Only negative side here is we just don't have any white mana. I'm going to keep it, just because I could use this as a 1, and I could use this as a 2. Drop. I'll tell you what, we're going to go with this as a 1 drop. Just to keep some pressure on the guy. We are already controlling the board. I feel like we're going to face wolves here. It's not going to go well. Well, we're off to a start. Need that white. If we don't get the white, then the Necrogen can get out as a really decent threat, and we'll just sacrifice the Yoshian Frontliner. It'll help the Battle Rebirth, but that means that we take an entire turn off. Not ideal. When we saw our hand, this was the fear, was that we wouldn't drag a white mana in. We still haven't. It's okay. Alright, let's get out of here. Okay, we're doing some damage now. We still don't have the white, so we can't really cast the Yoshi in Frontliner. We can cast our Dredging Claw, and if we grab one more thing, we can get this, grab our Yoshi in Frontliner out. Feel free. Okay. I think we just do this. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one. Just go shoot. Just shoot. Just shoot. Shoot doop. All attack. I ain't scared of your child. If this makes it through, we'll be threatening lethal on the next turn. If he tries to attack, I would just let it go. I don't need any tricks taking out my lethal attack back. So a good rule of thumb is be very bold with your attacks and be very like pressure until you get a line of sight on lethal. Once you start to see what the end game is going to look like, then you really want to probably change your mode. All right, we're putting this on in order to get this up to 5 damage so that it would destroy or kill one of the characters. Unfortunately, well, we might as well cast it. We never got our white man in this game, so our 2 white cards are just worthless. And they recognize that they're just going to lose both of those on the next attack. This definitely looks like a starter deck. Somebody who got those 4 Child of the Packs, I think that they give you in the Wolves one. Let's say if you're on the hunt, which is the one that they give you, you're going to get these Children of the Pack cards that they give you. So this is the deck that we were playing against. We saw Weaver of the Blossoms, and we saw Child of the Pack. Opponent obviously didn't draw any of their 2-drops over here, but for the most part, they were lost in the sauce. I mean, they did not utilize their mana very efficiently. We didn't see multiple cards come down on any single turn. The whole thing was just kind of a new experience for them, if you ask me. And so, that was ranked. Easy peasy. I think it's time for us to do our jumping, though. Last time, just to refresh, we did these blue-red dragon cards that were super powerful, and we were able to just own the opponent on the first try all the way through. The reason why I like these cards so much is it's a second card built into it, so it's like having a card draw already there, and you can cast the spell without any concern. Oh, I said it was super powerful. It was super powerful, except the guy copied our Copper Dragon and used it against us. Oh, that was so frustrating. I had them like dead to rights, and then he got 20 or so like treasures, and it was just a hand dump back at me. It was rough. I remember that. All right, so we're gonna do a new jump in. Hopefully, we can do as good as we did on the last one. We'll resign here. We'll spend our 1,000 gold, and we'll take a look at the 3 choices that they gave us. So, Educated is the Triskaidekala one. That is just no bueno. It is card draw. There are a lot of good blue card draw spells inside that deck. So, I'm not saying that like you should never take it. It's just I can't build around that. I think that it's going to be a lot of filler pieces later on in the game, and so I would rather I'd rather try to do something different. Maybe like see if I could get a better card. In their training is a neat one, and there are some really strong training guys. The Savior of Allenbach is our training guy. He's a white soldier who essentially comes in as a 1/2. It costs 3 mana to cast. When he trains, you get to exile up to 1 other target creature from the battlefield. When they leave the battlefield, you get to put all the exiled cards on the battlefield back under their owner's control. So, kind of like a Brutal Cathar, with the exception that instead of capturing a guy when he comes down, he captures a guy when he trains up and attacks. So he's a good 3 mana guy, but he's not somebody that you necessarily want to cast on turn 3 unless you happen to have somebody like the girl that we have, the Phyrexian Monastery girl. We do have her. He would be pretty good in our removal deck. Um, so definitely keeping my eye on training as an option. And then Globetrotting, I believe, is the domain group. Yeah, the domain mechanic, and you're going to have a Voidian Mindsinger. The Mindsinger enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it for each time it was kicked. You can kick it with red or green. You can kick it up to twice. And then you get to gain control of a target creature with power that's less than them for as long as you control. So a 3 mana, basically you're going to capture a 2 mana creature. I don't think it's like a game winner in any way, shape, or form. And so of the 3 choices that they've got here, Educated, which is the, put 13 cards in your hand and win the game kind of thing, and everything is a card draw, just a weird way to try to win a game. I just think training is the right answer. I think that our white deck is getting a little stronger, and it could use a little bit more. All right, we know Stampede is a squee, and Stampede could be a Shivan Devastator as well. So very, very strong red card. Very, very good for what we try to do. Oily is also a very strong card because it will give us an Urbask's Forge. Urbask's Forge is a really fun card. Unfortunately, it's in red, and the reason why that's an unfortunate is it is kind of a slower card. You put it down on turn 3, and it throws a 1/1 out there. Doesn't change the game. Throws a 2/1 out there. Doesn't change the game. It's not until turn 3, 1/1, turn 4, 2/1. It's not until turn 5 that you're seeing any kind of effect on the board that's really, really strong. The flip side of that is if you put down a Churning Reservoir on turn 1, when it doesn't really affect, like taking the turn off, so to speak, then suddenly your Urbask's Forge is popping out turn 3. On turn 4, you're popping out 3/1s, which is very, very strong. And by turn 5, you're popping out 6/1s because of the Churning Reservoir adding an extra pip to it. So I am a big fan of the Reservoir. I am a big fan in general of the Oily deck. And the cards that are in the Oily deck are almost all very strong, with the exception being this Cackler. I don't like that's on there. It's funny that they use that as the card to sort of like display what's going on in here. And then Corrupted is a Skrelv's Hive or a Rhea Ivor Bane of Bladehold. I have not actually figured out how to play Rhea, but I definitely know how to play a Skrelv's Hive. Skrelv's Hive is super, super strong. These both go into the white deck. Rhea is a black and white, and with 2 extra generic ones that has Battlecry, and so Battlecry gives everybody +1 when they attack next to her. The positive of it is you can pick a creature and then negate the damage the creature does on the attack, and then create that many mites. So if it's kind of like a White Sun's Twilight, where it's like suddenly here's 5 or 6 mites that can end the game in 2 turns. It can be really, really good if you're going up against a life gain deck and you need to change gears. You've got like this really strong creature, maybe that 6/6 Necrogen guy that's on our deck that we just built, but you're not, like you're doing 6 damage and he's gaining 5 life back, right? Like you're not really making any ground that way. She could definitely change the flavor of what's going on. So really, really good red card shot. Really, really good red card shot. Really, really good white card shot. Since, and you can always do this, right? Like you can always jump into your collection and you can always just go, if I wanted to look at red, how close am I to building a good red deck? We will also go with just standard. Okay. So these are our red cards, or cards that have red in them. An equipment guy, this Maze Crusher is great, and it really goes well with the Oily deck. Light Up the Night I have not utilized that much, but Squee and Reckless Storm Seeker are both very, very solid, and they're like we're about halfway home to making a good aggressive these are like kind of the top end cards of a good aggressive red deck. You can usually make up all the other ones with commons and uncommons, and you can end up using these if you need to in order to really finalize a exceptionally strong mono red deck. If we wanted to storm the ladder and go as fast as we could up the ladder, I think that we are just going to try to go for the squee, right? There's no card better for a mono red deck than a squee. And you're going to have a ton of things in your graveyard. So I think that's going to choose for me. I know it seems weird. I'm not seeing a ton of things in here, but I'm definitely seeing enough to say, well, this is very top end and heavy. Like another single off equipment guy, right? Not going to make it for me. These green cards are really strong, but only if I'm using things like the Broker's Ascendancy and the Soul Emancipation to go along with them. And so these green and whites are kind of like a family right over here. And I love the idea of adding a Defiler of Faith into these, really softening the blow of having like 3-color decks all the way through. So solid, and a green-white deck that we could definitely make. But white by itself, a 3/3 is just not going to get it done. This is such a universal card that it's hard for me to say, like, I got to build a deck around the Steel Seraph. Like that, there's not, it does good in every deck, but it's not by itself a deck. I think we're a lot closer to having very, very good red deck. And I think that's why I'm going to go for the Stampede. Double checking my line here. Stampede is a squee. We're going for the Stampede. All right. So we got the squee, just like we thought. We got the Survivor of Allenbach, just like we thought. This is also a really strong 2-drop that can kind of train up and do very, very fun things. Goblin Picker, we've gotten one of those before. I don't like them. I definitely needed a Lightning Strike. I think I only had 1 or 2 of those. If you're trying to ramp in red, this is great. Otherwise, I don't love it. I do like the Escort. Doesn't have a ton of synergy with the Survivor of Allenbach, I don't believe. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. This would go really good with that. It helps kind of like train that up for 2 turns very quickly. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1, and if you do, you become indestructible. That sort of takes away the weakness of this card. So it's kind of a 4 mana with 1 extra 1 to feed it, and then you're essentially a 4 mana indestructible, or like a 4 power indestructible. Sigarda's Imprisonment, not the best because of the 3, but one of the things I do like is that you can create blood tokens out of it, which can be really, really good for trying to draw cards later on. Love me a flyer, especially a flyer with training. Again, like you're attacking alongside this guy, and this flyer is suddenly moving up to a 3/2, which is like super scary. Good enough. Good enough. This is a card that actually I think has more utility than people understand. It's a 2/3 flyer for 4 by itself, not that great. A lot like how you're sinking 1 mana into the Shield Basher. You sink 1 or 2 into this, and suddenly you've got a 4/3 flyer. And so, you don't want to necessarily go to 4 times because you're going to lose it, but 3 more mana goes into it, and then suddenly it's a 5/3 flyer, and it can be really pretty painful. Yeah. So, it can also help train. You get a boon with it, then you cast your next creature spell. It perpetually gets +1. Kind of fun. So she's a blade that hands out a +1. Take it. Can get rid of it. Can draw. Alright. Over under on this one, I'd say we've got pretty good chance of winning this one. We got our Shield Basher and we got our Trainee. I can see a bit of a curve happening here. We're going to say keep, even though we don't have the kind of land that it takes to cast that. We're going to throw this first. Everything's a slow land. So, a 1/3, but it doesn't really trigger unless it hits me. Lightning Strike would definitely get rid of it, but it doesn't. It's not a fear at this point, like as a big ramping kind of fear. That, on the other hand, is I'm very fearful of. Like that, I will definitely get the heck out of there. Destroy a target creature with toughness 4 or greater. That's not happening. This is, though. We're going high. No attacks. I should have thrown the tap land. Viral spawning. I can't kick it just yet, and I'd like to on the next turn. Valor Stance. Target creature gains indestructible is not going to help me that much. 1/1 blocker could help. Feel stronger about this and getting rid of these two. Just that one. I like the training flyer. I don't know. I think I'm just taking the poison hit right here. Yep. Alright. Bye. Alright, we can cast our Squeen next, and hopefully attack. Yeah, no, that's fine. Throw the Squee, then we'll do the Survivor. We'll hold off on that. He can be a much stronger creature later. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'd need a 3, 4 to cast him. Now I really wish I had the Survivor. Alright, he's got the bigger creatures, the more mana. I've got 1 extra card on there. I can chump block our Paladin of Predation, and then on the Crackback I can train up our Survivor of Ollenbach. I'm going to need to throw the Shield Basher into it. If he puts the Maze's Mantle on there, I'm totally happy with that. I'm going to end up giving up the Griffin Rider, which is fine. All right. Wait, what? With power 2 or less. Ouch. All right, all right. go. I think he's trying to say oops to me. I was gonna lose the rider anyway. I think I can capture that guy back. Shoot. Okay. All of our plans. Power 3 or greater. I've got to throw. Oh, I don't actually, because I can block. One, two. I can block. I think I gotta do that. We're not gonna win. We needed a protection spell for that guy. And we needed him not to have an entire wall. Alright. One down. Try it again. That paladin was perfect. Absolutely perfect for what he was trying to accomplish. I'm impressed. A 1-drop, a 1-drop, a 3-drop, and a 2-drop interaction spell. Let's go. So you want to do this the right way? You throw this first, and then you throw 1 and 2 on the next turn. Then at the end of 2, you've got 2 players that are out there, 1 with haste that can attack. If you do it the other way, you throw this, and you immediately throw this, you throw that, and you're waiting. And you have 1 attacker for 1/1. So the smart way to do it, the fastest way, is to throw the tapling right off the bat, and then throw the planes, and then cast the 2. Okay, so then we cast this, then we cast this. I'm just doing it without the kicker, which is fine. Attack that. Hello. Good game. We did get our land, which is good, which means we can toss out our squeak, which is even better. We can all attack, and this is what mono red kind of tries to do, right? We try to become early on the board, as wide as possible. Those are the key characteristics. So my man does not, unfortunately, have him defense. And he's going to be under 10 in just a sec because we'll get that extra guy. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6th because the extra goblin would come from this guy. That would put him down to 8. Would be threatening nearly lethal. We could throw the Shield Basher out. We're missing that 1 extra mana it would take to do double spelling on that. So we would just throw the Shield Basher out. And that's how you do it. We got some gold. We got some experience. More importantly, we got a card. Cards are life. Legendary Uncommon Human Samurai. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast a target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. Hello. That could be a fun card. A samurai artifact combo. Seems like no-brainer.
You just got a new deck.
No, I didn't. I've had it. You goofball.
It's 2 colors.
All right.
Red and green.
Nothing.
You can complete your next quest by trying it out.
I guess we could try to build the red deck real quick. So let's go try and build it. So we go to our collection. We're going to just look at mono red here for a second. And we're going to click the plus sign, turn it into a standard format. We're going to start with exactly what we were looking at before. These 2 cards are really nice, especially as a top-end kind of cards. They hand out haste, or they are haste, and they replicate and go wide. They come back from the graveyard. They just do a lot of good things. So I like them. Could they go in a red and green deck? Absolutely. in which case Miglos, Arlen, Harlan, and Elena, all, even Tovalar, like, they could absolutely supplement a red-green Wolves deck with more of a feature of red than green, like our current Gruul deck is. But let's just check out a mono red build up here for a second. So, if I was going to pull playables out for a mono red, we've got a Samurai theme here. You may discard a card, and if you do, you get to draw a card. Kind of a nice little fix. This one has first strike, and when it dies, it gets to create a blood token. I just don't. I can't see myself. Destroy a target artifact and put a +1 on up to one target creature. Very cool, as far as the anti-artifact hate is concerned. Furious Bellow. No. Goblin Picker is it's okay. When you cast a non-creature spell, yeah, but so far almost everything we're doing is creatures, right? A 1/2 Menacer, when it attacks, it gets +1, becomes a 2/2 Menacer, has a blitz cost where you can just toss it out there and just sneak in a couple of damage, especially with the Menace. It can be very, very useful. 2/2 that goes land shopping, but you need green in the deck to do it. Target creature gets +3 and first strike. Not bad. Enchanted, as long as you control enchanted creature, it gets 2/2. Otherwise, it can't block. So, toss it on their guy, they can't block. Toss it on your guy, +2/+2. I like versatile cards. Exile the top 2 cards of your library and play those? No, that's alright. Glittering Stockpile, more anti-artifact hate, Thrill of Possibility, and Stolen Vitality. Target creature gets 3/1, and if it's your turn, that creature gains trample. Otherwise, it gains first strike. Kind of a weird instant defensor. Like, suddenly my little chump blocker is no longer a chump. Like, kind of cool. We are going to have to go up the ladder on cost a little bit. If you've got the kicker, it's great. You're just going really, really wide very, very quickly. Even for 3 mana, this is pretty good. I don't think we have a lot of proliferates going on. A hasty 2/1 for 3. Discard a card, draw a card. Whenever you discard 1 or more artifact cards, you get to add 2 mana to it. I don't think we've got a bunch of artifacts. We don't. We have artifact hate, but we don't have artifacts themselves. We'll throw him in there. He's kind of a neat get on the board guy. Samurai theme, into the night. It becomes night. Discard any number of cards and draw that many cards +1. Could be cool. Lunar Frenzy. Target creature you control gets +X/+0 and gains first strike and trample. Could be fun. A Reaching Trampler, 5 mana. No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. The hearse, the honeymoon hearse with the squee could be really good. Could be really good. One thing we don't worry about is curve, right? We're looking at mono red here. One other thing that we can look at inside mono red, gain control of a target creature until the end of the turn. That's always nice. Creatures you control all get a +1, and then you exile this saga to make a 3/3 trample haster. Okay. As a top end card, I'm starting to like you. This is our Dragon Whip. We talked about him earlier too. Falaji Change Answer gains double strike with 2 extra mana. It's not that great. We have a few of these samurais. A 2/3 Menacer, which is great. That automatically makes your spells cheaper. We have a lot of spells. We have too many spells. Let's go with this. And let's go with we probably have more room than we think. Do we want to add some green into this deck in order to help our picker out? I hate putting a slow land in a red deck. I'm sure we can get around 1. 20 creatures, 18 spells. Janky red. One other thing you can look at inside a mono deck color is the colorless as well. The Ninja's Kunai is a nice cheap interaction. I think I like it more than the Skull Bomb. Same kind of thing, but just more expensive, right? Skitterfang is good. Maybe better than like a Peerless Samurai. Two mana to go find a land, 2 more mana to drop a +1. Sorcery speed, very slow. Sacrifice Silver Bolt, deals yada yada yada. We already did that. Boarded up window, creatures attacking you get -1 at the beginning of each step. If you were dealt 4 or more damage, exile this. This can be really good going against a mono red deck. And the thing about it is, we're going to be going against the mono red deck a lot. If I'm going to throw this out, it could be pretty good. It could be real good, actually. We just got to prevent 4 damage, right? I'm going to try it. I don't know. Exemplar is pretty solid. Okay. So you use nothing but red, and it comes in as a 6/6 for 5, which is just pretty good. Ready to give it a shot? So, janky red, by the way, as far as what we're trying to accomplish. We're staying very low in our curve. We have a 2.2 average, which is kind of where red needs to be. It actually could be even a little lower. We'll pick like a red and white, and we'll do
The dragon whispers
a
of your
dragon.
mind.
Do we want that? Let's go there. We'll go with the classy red. Haste, haste, destroy, destroy. Not haste, but has menace. So everything's got a little bit. We've got some anti-artifact hate. We've got some damage that we can deal out. We've got some top-end kinds of things that board pump, gain control of a creature, gain a 3/3 hastier. This is not a hasty guy, but he does have trample and he can get up to a 6/6. And then these little early tricks can also be removals as well, since it'll do 3 damage, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7-ish. A lot of times these lightning strikes can get used directly to face, which is good. Don't know if the Goblin Picker's the right choice at this point, but we didn't have a lot of 2-drop bodies. This one is 1, 2, right here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's actually pretty good. 12, 13. So we've got a lot of interaction and a lot of hit the board early kinds of feel. We don't have things like the 1-drops that really move the needle. So we're going to be really leaning on the Viashino. But if we can kick it, this can become a much bigger card later on in the game, which is kind of cool. So we're going to do that. Just because of the fact that I can use the green here, and I can use the green somewhere else. Here, on the Sprouting Goblin. That's why we've got the green splashed over into it. And these can be a removal. They can be, ways to get extra damage in. There's a ton of fun things that we can do. So, with having this thing looking almost like a single copy of every card, I would expect us to have this deck kind of hit and miss. Sometimes it'll hit really, really strong, and sometimes it won't. We should be able to get on the board, but like I can imagine circumstances where I get nothing but the burn spells, right? Especially with it being 50-50. So we might have a few too many spells, not enough bodies. But we're going to find out. Okay. We do have a 1-drop, which we can just toss on the ground. We do have a 2-drop, and so we're keeping at this point right now. I definitely want to cast the 1-drop. I'm less concerned about casting the 1-drop on time than I am about casting the 2-drop on time. So we're going to throw like this. Another slow land. When you've got 3 in your deck, expect 2 in your hand. My man is out here tossing skull bombs. All 3 slow lands. How funny is that? Let's do it. It's not going to do anything. It's just nice to have it. That's what I'm talking about. Get out of here. Okay. If we can get a fast land right now, we can pull out. I was going to say we could pull this out, which would be great. if we attack, or we could just try to do it on the snapback. Yeah. We'll just do it on defense. So, Soul and Vitality gives us first strike on the defending side of things. And so, we're going to wait and see if he attacks. And if he does, and he doesn't use his Skull Bombs in order to get his +3/+3s, yeah, that's probably going to be enough. Although, what do you think? Is it worth it? I think it's worth it. I'll lose both 2-drops. But I can toss the Stormseeker out there. Yeah, that's worth it. Let's go. He would need another trick right now. It just sucks. That just sucks. Go away. Oh well. Yeah, good on him. We're going to toss this. We're going to life gain that. Yes. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to go here, and we're going to put in some life gain. And we're going to attack. Okay. So he's gonna have a great. He won the interaction and got rid of my 2 guys. Like, if you win, keep playing, you goofball. What are you doing?
You can complete your next
Alright.
quest by trying it out.
So, all 3 of our slow lands came out that hand, and it still didn't take us off our curve. So that's good. The kunai worked as advertised, although it does tap our creature, which does definitely cost us 2 health, or 2 hits. That would have put us at threatening lethal a little earlier, like 1 turn earlier, but neither here nor there. Reckless Stormseeker was the hero on that one. Handing out haste as other creatures come back in is so good that, like, getting this girl down is just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Didn't get a chance to use these too much. The slash was really nice as a 4-mana removal against Toxic. It's nice to be prepared for that. And these guys did their job. They're expendable 2-drop bears that essentially can enlist, which is neat, but there's no point in doing it unless you really want to save a creature from having to attack. I'm trying to think, like, who would I want to save? Maybe this is a warrior attacking alone. So you could enlist and attack alone. Like, there's a little bit of synergy that gets involved in that. These are not warriors, unfortunately. Ah, here's a warrior that could attack alone, especially if we pump it up. So there's a little bit of stuff in here. Not a lot, though. So, Samurai. That was good. I feel like it wasn't mono red speed, but it definitely is a gear faster than the deck that we were playing against, because we were playing against something that couldn't figure out how to, put together two threats at the same time. They had a lot of, skull bombs that were out there. Then they threw out the big guy. They had it all set up for a big, haha, and then he just disappears in, a 1 mana burn. Love it, love it. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but we're gonna try. So, 2-drop, need 1 more mana. We've got a couple tricks in order to make a. I don't even have an artifact to destroy yet. Hopefully, we can destroy one of theirs. So 2-drop. If they cast an artifact, we're going to do this. If they don't, the third, and we don't get ours, we can do this. Well, we already got our mana, so we're good. Let's go. So it'll look a little something like that. This is, again, throwing an X mana, throwing our next card. They're going to go wide. This is slow land, which means it doesn't have much of a place for us. Right? He's going to make... he's going to make stuff. So... one reason to cast Stormspeaker over Squee would be to get rid of the Servant, right? Or at least to threaten the Servant. Because if this guy attacks, he's just going to die. There's not really much else that's going on there. We're going to say no blocks. That's fine. This dude, whenever you cast a creature spell, he goes wide and creates problems. So... we can't have that. We just can't. Sorry. Just can't happen. I'm going to attack with the Stormseeker by itself. Love the trade with the Venom Connoisseur. I don't think it's going to happen though. I think he missed a land drop. Gotta get rid of that Adeline, unfortunately. My best bet is this Hungry Widge Wolf getting the first strike as a blocker. So the original plan was for them to block the Adeline. Oh no. Oh wait, no, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We got the first strike. We're all right. We're all right. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah. Damn it. I think that's game. One extra guy. Like, if I could just get rid of that one extra guy, it'd be a totally different story. 7, 9, 10, 11. If I just get rid of the Venom Connoisseur, it's kind of the same thing. Now I've got to be able to attack for 10. And he's got a bunch of ways for me not to. What else are you gonna do? Let's go with spreading out our threats. All attack. Go with next. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. He'll block 10. Okay. What's getting through? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So close. So close. Good game. We got close. We really needed that trick on the Adeline to work. If we could have gotten that to get rid of, then that would have been one less guy, and we would have easily gotten our one less damage. Not bad. Deck held us together. It definitely seemed to have some decency to the pieces, especially like the tricks. We ran into one too many good cards, unfortunately. Curve feels good on the deck. We're able to cast things that we want to cast when we cast them. So that is always a great sign. I am not so sure about this explosive entry. This is like the third time I've had this card in my hand, and I don't think I've cast it once yet. There you go, Mr. Goblin. Get out there. Should have. So one way to look at that would be, yeah, we lost some damage that could have potentially gotten through. Or another way would be, it was a 2-mana spell, right? Are you an artifact? You are not. You are a Menacer, which we could cast for your Blitz cost right now and toss in there for 2 extra damage. That would be 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What this does is it forces them to block because we've got lethal, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. He should. I could have popped that, huh? See, we could have won the game. Mistakes have been made. What can I say? Squee is an amazing card. This is exactly why. Good game. Let's go. 6, 9, 12. Red deck.
You just got a new deck. It's 2 colors, red and green.
How do I
You
shut
can
her up?
complete your next quest by trying it out. You might have to wait until tomorrow for your next quest, though. So come back then.
Okay. Okay. And I think we're going to end right there. Just to recap, we built a white and black deck that focuses more on cycling our creatures into the graveyard and back out of the graveyard, and maximizing Vran's checkoffs, maximizing Braid's ability to toss him in and get him back out, and maximizing our ability to essentially create removal or sneak attack. Like it's damage at all costs, right? Like doesn't matter if we're losing characters across the way. Whatever we can do to get some damage in the front door. Can be kind of a fun deck. A little bit more in the mid-range, but not necessarily in the mid-range in what we're casting. Just more of like we're just not pumping out a ton of damage in one shot until we get to these 6 drops, 4 drops, 4 drops, 4 drops, like or 5 drops. We've got some decent power and some strength up here at the top, but we're gonna dirtle around here for turns 1 through 4, and then we're going to hopefully open up opportunities for turns 5 and beyond up here. So I like this deck. I think that if I had to pick a deck and play just a single deck in, let's say, ranked, maybe not the deck that I would pick. But just could be inconsistent. I can easily see ending up with too many of those heavy ends and not really having the ability to sort of build up your Necrosquitos or have the mana base it takes to cast those things and sort of getting trapped at the bottom. So it's kind of less. It's got a good curve. It's just got less of a good curve than the other choices that are in there. So I would give this deck, as far as ranking is concerned, probably my second. Yeah, it's kind of close to this Woodsy Artifacts deck. This Woodsy Artifacts deck is kind of fun too. It's got these big upper level kinds of stuff. It's got some ramp pieces built into this middle line, and then this is just about surviving through to the ramp. So you've got removal, tricks of the trade, a little bit of an engine, a lot of removal, a lot of this can become a bomb, this is a bomb, this is a bomb, ×2. This is going to help you, so I think of this more like a ramp card than anything. Definitely a bomb with a healing on the back end. So this deck synergizes with itself more than the other deck does, and I think that it may end up performing a little bit more consistently. So I would say that overall, this is my second favorite deck, and we're just going to give these things numbers that are here. My janky red deck proved to be really pretty solid, which is awesome. Jank City over here is good, not great. I think it just, when we built it, we didn't have a lot of the cards that were on deck. And so things like the Celebrity Fencer, just a great idea of a card, but only if you're really, really controlling, like you're really controlling the market. I think that I would go through this one more time, remove things like this Vine Shaper Prodigy, the Gaia's Gift. Yeah, like I'm just missing some synergy down here. Specifically, artifact, you know, green, white, all the way across kind of deal. I think we actually do have another worm too if we wanted. Do I have another thief? Another Vorak? Careful cultivation I would like to get rid of. So, like I said, there's some problems with this deck. I'm just going to go with this for now, but it's definitely at the bottom of my list of ones that we've built. And so these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks that we've got. We've got no mono blacks, no mono. We have a mono green, and we've got a mono red. I know this says it's not, but it really is mono red. So 2 mono colors. We've got a white and black. They kind of still need each other. And then blue is just so far behind. We just don't have much to build a deck around in blue. So I would expect us to, on our next couple of jump-ins, focus on maybe fleshing out some more black, focus on fleshing out some more white. I think that there's a white deck that we're close to. We have some powerful white cards, but not enough to say, yeah, for sure, we got to get out there and do it. Still, I'm liking where we're headed. I think that like I could take this janky red deck directly into ranked and probably climb, I would say, into gold, maybe through gold with just this janky red deck and nothing else. This Rand Braids could do the same thing, and this Woodsy Artifact could do the same thing. I don't think the Gruul deck or the Jank City, and the reason is the Gruul deck is mostly what they give you, so I don't think that they're as powerful as they seem. But these ones are fun. They have good synergies, they're built smart, and they are 1, 2, 3 for that reason. All right, until we come back a little bit later, we're going to earn some more gold. Hopefully we can trigger our daily quest, use it to jump and do another jump in, and see if we can't improve our deck or build new ones, depending on what packs they give us. Till then, bye-bye.